We are live. What's up, people? It's your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I'm with my other brother, Deontay Ford. How you doing, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing today? Happy Sunday to everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Um,
Yeah. And this is going to be an interesting live stream. We're talking about gaslighting. Gaslighting 101. We can do it right here. So, what is gaslighting? Most people use the word, but they don't really know what it means. So, let me tell you. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse or manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self doubt and confusion in the victim's mind. Typically, gaslighters seek power and control over the other person by distorting reality and forcing them to question their judgment and intuition. Now, I don't know if y'all saw the thumbnail that I put up, but that thumbnail is an example of what I'm talking about. We're going to go outside of that. That's just in a relationship context. But we want to show how this is done to Black nationalists, African centered progressives, people who believe that we should have a nation of our own. But in the thumbnail, I don't know if you guys can see it while the live stream is on, but I'll bring it up on my end. Let's see. Is that a fan?
a fan?
Yeah,
Where?
like in the background.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's static or something. I'm hearing.
Yeah, I don't think so. No,
You
maybe
can't
it's
hear
just
it?
it's not on my end. Or it might be just the laptop because I know that little thing is on
Okay, it went away.
because I'm literally on my laptop, so it might be the
Yeah, it went away
What about now?
temporarily and then it came back.
It went away, then came back.
Yeah.
Make sure this thing ain't blocked or nothing. What about now?
Oh, it's still there, but we can deal with it. It's not
Oh,
like it's overpowering anything.
okay, because I don't hear anything.
Trying to bring up this thumbnail. Forgive me, y'all. Let's see, where is it at? Okay. The thumbnail is a man and a woman arguing, and the woman said, "Why are you letting who's giving me the pipe F with you? You better than that." And the guy's got question marks. I saw an example of this that was like, it was really kind of brilliant, the gaslighting that this
Hmm.
lady did to her husband. He had security cameras set up in his house, not to catch her doing anything, but just for security purposes.
Yeah.
And he caught her giving another man head in his bedroom.
What the?
So they have, like, he had her in the car and he put the camera on because he wanted to catch her, you know, and catch her reaction to him catching her. So she gets into the car, she gets ready to give him a kiss. He like rejects the kiss and he's like, "I need you to get up out of my house." And she's like, "Why?" And he says, "Because you giving another man head in my house." And she's like, "Wait a minute. You got cameras and stuff? Like, how do you know that?" He's like, "Yeah, I got cameras set up." She said, "Oh man, so you don't trust me?" It's like, she's like, how can we have a relationship when it's not built on any trust? We can't go on. I'm like, whoa, that
What? Oh,
because
like,
he
bruh,
managed
you're
managed to
completely
turn the whole conversation
yeah.
him being insecure over, and so he was so busy defending his security that they weren't even talking about the dude she was giving that to. I'm like, that
Yeah.
is brilliant. That's brilliant. I couldn't even be mad. I'm like, that is classic gaslighting.
Yeah. It's
And I,
basically another way to shift blame.
yeah, it's
That's what that
what they
is.
call it, obfuscation. It's when you
Yeah.
obfuscate to something else rather than deal with what the topic is at hand. That happens a lot with people who aren't really that knowledgeable. Like if you aren't that knowledgeable, you're not going to go into details on topics and stuff like that. You're going to use broad strokes, generalizations, and then when somebody asks you to defend it, then you're going to obfuscate to something else. Like remember we were talking about meta conversations?
Oh yeah.
That's another way, that's another form of gaslighting where like if I say like in that situation the guy catches the woman doing something wrong and then she obfuscates to say, "Well, why are you so insecure? Why are you spying on me?" That shows that you have no trust. How can this relationship exist if there's no trust?
And keep in mind, the guy wasn't doing it on purpose.
Yeah. But you
No.
see you see how she did that? And now
Yeah.
he's like, "What do you mean I have no trust? It's not me." And he's trying to constantly get it back to the guy that she was whose joint she was sucking. That's irrelevant to her. She done moved on to something else and obfuscated to another thing and get the conversation started on that. It's really a brilliant tactic. If you look at it objectively, it's really brilliant because you don't. It's like the way to avoid if you can do something wrong and then you turn it around so that the person who caught you is questioning themselves. That's brilliant. That's classic gaslighting. Now, let's take that and apply that to nationhood. How are we gaslit as black men?
Oh, my favorite one. We were colonizers. We no matter where you go, white supremacy is going to be there. Um, I can go on. Let's see. We don't have no money. We can do it right here.
Well, let's deal with that one. The we can
Okay.
do it right here, because the we can do it right here is them gaslighting us by saying that we don't need to have a nation of our own. This is our nation right here. Why are you
Yeah.
even trying to establish a power base somewhere else? America is prime real estate. My grandparents and my ancestors' bones is buried here.
Yeah.
Notice all of the gaslighting techniques.
Yeah. It's escape. It's just escapism.
And
It's
why do they
escapism.
use those gaslighting techniques on us?
Laziness on their part. A lot of it is manipulation. A lot of these people have their own uh, ulterior motives, especially when it comes to nationhood and self empowerment and everything else. Uh, it's like what we've always said, fam. Not everybody at the table is an honest player.
Hmm.
So these escapism attempts that they're doing, the gaslighting, what did I just say it was? It's blame shifting. It's a combination of self hate. It's a combination of just outright laziness. And again, a lot of these people that do this, they have ulterior motives.
Hmm.
They don't want us to solve the problem that black people are having globally, or just within the diaspora. A lot of these people get rich off the struggle. They make money off the struggle. They make money selling books, making YouTube videos, just talking about the problem constantly. You know, so you think about a nation, but actually solve 99.99% of our problems. They don't want that.
Hmm.
They don't want that at all because if they have it, then what good are they? How are they going to make any money?
Right.
So all these things they're doing is to really just to basically try to validate these people for being the shameful do nothings that they already have been and always have been. So it's more weakness to it. So I'm not surprised that this kind of thing happens.
People, if you're listening to the live stream, could you type in a one if you hear me and Deontay?
Yeah.
Type a one in the chat. And just to let you know, if you can't type a one in the chat, It's probably because you're not subscribed to my channel. I
Yep.
just found out that I can turn on subscribers only mode. So that means you had to have been subscribed to my channel for more than 5 minutes for you to even put a one in the chat. Interesting. So now we're gonna find out who's actually my subscribers. Who are my subs? Who are people that actually sub to my channel, or who are the people that just hanging around? Peace to Eric, peace to Ryder, peace to Agoso, peace to Mac. Good, good, good. Peace to Wayne.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wayne
man.
here. Yeah, Wayne's cool.
Yeah, peace to the brothers. But yeah, man, gaslighting. Um, this is, you know what, and I keep mentioning this, but it's something that I haven't really processed is the detractors against land infrastructure nationhood. The main detractors against land infrastructure nationhood is not who you think it might be.
No, it's other Pan Africanists or so
Yeah,
called or so called.
yeah. I've had people who have Africa literally in their brand tell me that we can't do it outside of America. I know it seems bizarre. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that. It's the truth. I've had people with Africa in their brand holding up the red, black, and green, all of that, and then telling me, "Oh, we can't do it. America is prime real estate."
Oh, really? Prime real estate for who? Because we can't even get black people to get an inch of land in this junk.
Macadamian says, "Give us some examples
Examples of what?
of people." Uh, the only thing I can point to is I've done videos saying that we need to establish a nation state overseas, and it's been shot down. It's been like they're saying that we can do it right here. We're here in America, so we should be doing stuff right here. And technically, they're not wrong. Like if you live in the country, you should be establishing some type of power within the country that you stay in. The problem is they don't do it. The same people who's telling us to do it right here are not doing it right here.
Yeah, a great example of that was when we were in Atlanta. We went to the Black Wall Street Mall.
Yep.
That place was pretty much a ghost town. No, almost
Right.
no black people were supporting it. Some of them took their stores and went right into the white malls.
Yeah. So why are we, as black nationalists, who's not even vested in this country, doing it? Supporting Black Wall Street in Atlanta. Why are we even there? We shouldn't even be inside that store. That place should be flooded with ADOS and FBA.
Hmm.
Look at the scroll at the bottom of this screen. What does it say?
Stop putting your money in. No, start. Well, yeah, move your money to black. Support One United Bank. Stop putting black money in white banks.
That's what it says at the bottom.
Yeah.
Why are we out here pushing this, putting the black money in a black bank when we're black nationalists who's more interested in establishing a power base overseas? Why are we doing it? Why aren't all of these FBA ADOS people, the we can do it right here people, the we were here first people, why aren't you supporting the black bank that's here in America? Why aren't you supporting the Black Wall Street that's in Atlanta? Isn't Atlanta the black Mecca? That's what they call it?
Right.
What's up? How come all the black businesses are in the white malls?
Yeah. If we can do it right here, why y'all not doing it right here? That's what I'm trying
Mm.
to figure out. Y'all can't even get one dirt road in this country. I'm trying to figure out how we doing it right here. But you know, the thing with ADOS and FBA that I've noticed is that their whole contention for existing seems to be more predicated on them just winning online battles. Going into Pan Africanist, organizations and groupings and attacking people, be it somebody in the BAIO or our good homie, our good brother Jabari Lamb, or the other good brother Dwayne Wong. People out here that's actually putting this, that's a part of multiple organizations and putting in some work. that's actually doing something, that are more active offline than they are online, who are not obsessed about bragging about their accomplishments and rubbing it in everybody's faces and asking people for money. They're not doing uh, you know any for ADOS and FBA, they're not doing anything. They're just trying to troll people and they're online just harassing people. That's all they are. They're spooks.
Oh,
Everybody
Mac,
else. Oh, go ahead.
look at the question in Macadamia.
Why are a African Americans or FBA ADOS turn their hatred towards black immigrants and no smoke for white people? Generally because white people are their daddy. They know it. That's Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet to them. They know that everything they have is because of white people. They like they have no power. They talk about reparations. It's just another clever way for them to just try to scam more black people that they can to give them things. They know that they don't have no power to convince the federal government to give them any reparations. They're not gonna, like what kind of power do they have to really influence the U.S. government or the West for that matter to give anybody reparations for anything that they done? We just had some of the last few surviving descendants of the horrible incident, the Tulsa race massacre of Black Wall Street, basically get told to their faces that they're not going to receive reparations for what they actually went through, live in front of people. So you have to ask ADOS as to why they haven't the members of ADOS is why they haven't seen the light, that they're really just a part of a scam, or they're being a victim of a scam, more or less. ADOS and FBA have heat for black immigrants because ADOS and FBA are still oppressed black people. People who are usually oppressed like to try to oppress other people to build themselves up. And that's really what that is. It's mental health, it's cope, it's just depressing in a nutshell.
Hmm, interesting. Can I take a crack at it?
Sure.
My take on it is this: the immigrants that come to America are people that have abandoned their country, their home base. I always make that point because everybody, like African Americans, I've heard certain African Americans say, Africans don't like us. And when they do that, they're usually talking about African immigrants who come into America who've left their country. So the problem is this: the problem is everybody's fighting to see who can be the number one minority in America. African Americans feel we've been here the longest, so we should be number one. In other words, when you say the number one minority, it's the white man's bottom bitch. Like who's gonna be the white man's ride or die? And African Americans are saying, well, that's us. That's who we are. And then these African immigrants are coming, so they feel threatened by that. They're like, oh, you trying to be his bitch? No, I'm his bitch. And that's really what this discussion is. It's not about power. It's not about that. It's about, oh, they're taking away jobs from us. They're taking away benefits from us.
Taking
Jobs,
away who?
benefits. These are employee discussions. These are underling discussions. These are discussions of people who have no interest in being in power. So what are they going to do? They're going to fight for scraps with all the other minorities in America to see who will be number one. They're going to have a fucking Royal Rumble like the WWE.
30-man over the top.
Yeah. So whoever goes over the top is eliminated until we get down to the bottom, and then that's who will be the white man's number one bitch here in America. That's my take on it. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Like, am I in the right ballpark?
Anybody else have another take on it?
Kwaku says, I wouldn't say the immigrants have abandoned their homeland. Most come for economic reasons and go back. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, let's not pretend that a lot of them don't go back.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And a
them
lot of
stay.
them have a whole lot of bullshit to say about African Americans,
Right.
acting as if what African Americans didn't contribute to them being able to even be here. So that dynamic going on. There's this resentment going on, you know, calling African Americans lazy and stuff like that. This doesn't rarely does this come from continental Africans. It's coming from African immigrants here in America, mostly. But you are correct. Not all of them are like that, but there are some that are.
Yeah, we got a few knuckleheads, and there's always going to be that one black sheep. I'm not. It's like, oh yeah, well, we're lazy, but it's like two things. We made it possible for you to come here, and you're fleeing your country to come here. We're lazy about what exactly? How are we lazy? Like, I don't get it, but whatever.
Well, I've often said, without judgment, let's say in a perfect world, we embrace Liberia as our nation state.
Mm,
It already is, but let's say we embrace it. A good enough amount of us to where we're able to participate. That's indigenous, native Liberians, and diaspora Africans. And we form a productive first world African diaspora nation. Let's just snap our fingers and that happens, right?
right.
Who is going to run us out of our nation?
Nobody.
Would our first reaction be, yo, I got to get out of here? Or would our first reaction be to get rid of the people that's causing the problem?
Oh, our first reaction should be to get rid of the people that are causing the problem. Oh,
Exactly.
hey, Jabari.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Hello, let me
Fine.
introduce you properly. This is our brother, Darius Jabari Lamb, who has just released his first book, available on Amazon, available on Barnes and Nobles. Give them all the places where they can purchase your book. Tell them the name of the book, the title, all of that. This is your time.
Yes, everybody. So I am officially an author. The book was released on Friday, September the 6th. The title of the book is called The Eyes from Above. There's always someone watching over you. That is the book. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes and Nobles on the paperback. You can also go onto my website and get it. It is jabarilamb.com. If you go to jabarilamb.com, you'll see what the book is about. You'll see a book trailer. You can contact us. You can also, I have an upcoming newsletter. So this is a really exciting time. And I also, if you are in the Atlanta area, I will be having an event at the 44th and 3rd Bookseller. That's here in Atlanta on Friday, September the 20th at 5:30. So if you are in the Atlanta area or if you know people in the Atlanta area, make sure you tell them to mark their calendars for Friday, September the 20th at 44th and 3rd Bookseller.
Yay.
And you said the website. Could you type the website in the chat?
Yes, I can. Hold on, give me 1 second.
And personally, blow up his website, purchase his book. We want to see this dude on mainstream TV. We want to see him at book signings. We want to support this brother 1000%. Very proud of you.
I'm very proud of you too, bro.
But Jabari, while you're doing that, I want to ask you what are your thoughts on how black nationalists for nationhood in Liberia are gaslit? Do you have any examples that you can think of or any that you've come across?
Yes. So one form of gaslighting that we can talk about when referring to Black nationalists in Liberia is that we will become the colonizers. That's one of the biggest gaslighting talking points. They're basically saying we're going to become colonizers without saying it. They're saying, I'm not going to say y'all are going to become colonizers, but if you do go, it's a possibility that you will be a colonizer. I mean, look at what happened before. secretly implying that we're going to be colonizers. And that's basically to tell Black nationalists we should not focus on continuing on Liberia and what it stands for and what the project enabled. We should just stay here or try to, vanish into the sunset in Africa because of fear that we're going to become colonizers and not even bothering to understand African history, the context of when Liberia was established, or even the people that established Liberia. So that is the biggest form of gaslighting
So,
is saying
Javari,
we're going to be colonizers, even though we aren't, and historically we've never been colonizers.
let me ask you a question because this is something that I don't think many people have asked when somebody says that. And my question is, why are they acting like they got a problem with colonizing or colonization? It's to me, it's like, let's say you have like some prostitutes that's on a corner, right? And then there's a girl, she's not a prostitute, but she's thinking about going to another corner. And so the prostitutes warn her that, yo, don't go over there because if you go over there, they might turn you into a prostitute. Like, isn't that what you are? It just seems like a strange thing to be, like, oh, I want to warn you about this colonization when you're a victim of it and you don't have no problem living in it.
The biggest problem when we talk about colonization, and this is when it comes to Black people, and I've stated this my position on, can Black people participate in colonization? Yes. Are Black people colonizers? No. And the reason why I bring that point is that colonization requires you to be backed by a state power. And that state power is going into that foreign land with the intention of controlling, replacing, and extracting resources from the society. So unless Black people have a nation state that's powerful enough for us to back us, and we go to a foreign land to exploit economic resources or systematically decimate the society, we cannot be colonizers. And when people don't understand that context and also understand the context of societies having agency, that's another part where people get blind and miss the picture when we're talking about colonization. Now, people are going to say, well, this sounds like colonizing, Appalachia. And I just simply say, no, it's looking at history in context for what it actually is. When we talk about Liberia and us establishing Liberia, people will always say, well, oh, there was conflict amongst the indigenous population. First of all, again, the indigenous population is not a monolith. There were multiple different confederations and kingdoms with their own interests. Secondly, you're assuming that the indigenous population has the exact same interest as the repatriates. Some of them did, others didn't. You can't make peacemaker with everybody. Somebody's not going to be satisfied. Okay. And so when we don't look at history like that, instead we just gaslight people or manipulate people. We're just saying, oh, colonizer, colonization, because they're going somewhere else. That's a problem, especially when we say we're going to build up the country we already helped establish that's already there and is still functioning, not some imaginary country that isn't in existence that we're planning to displace and wipe people out.
Now, let me ask you a question. You said earlier that you can't have colonization without it being backed by the state, right?
Yes,
State power. Okay. What context do Black people here in America live under?
we live under a we don't have first of all we don't have a government. We don't have a government to back us. We're dealing with a government that's actively hostile to us.
Right.
And what people would call before, we used to live under racial apartheid, and we're basically, internal, what people would sometimes refer to, although we don't use it as much as before, an internal colony, which is you have a minority population where resources are being extracted that's being controlled against a wealthier majority society.
Now, with that context, isn't it kind of rich that their main concern is that if we go to Liberia, that we're going to colonize the Liberian people.
Yeah, because
Isn't
I'm
that
like, how are we going
rich?
to colonize it with what? With what? We
Yeah,
don't have state power. It's not like the U.S. government is giving us weapons and diplomatic cover for us to just go in and just wage war against the indigenous people already there. I mean,
They are
if the
literally living under a colonial power. But they don't seem to have a problem with that.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it's weird because it's like, what are we going to colonize somebody with? With what army?
Thank you.
And what weapons? Who's the gun manufacturer? How are we going to get over there? Who's going to build
And,
us
and
some
they'll
boats?
and then Deontay, they'll say we'll colonize, completely forgetting the role of African leadership themselves. I keep saying one of the things that they do is they infantilize African leadership.
Yeah,
African leadership got y'all under control,
They sure
brutalizing
good
y'all.
at that.
I mean, did we not see the protest that happened in Nigeria, where the
yeah,
Nigerian police were literally firing live round at Nigerian citizens for simply protesting? I mean, did you see what happened in Uganda, where the Ugandan president was threatening, "Don't y'all try this? Y'all playing with fire." African Americans don't need to colonize Africa, or we're gonna control Africa. Y'all African leaders are already doing that with brute force, taking everything y'all already have. It's like, why? This is what the lack of thinking completely and holistically brings, is people are forgetting the missing pieces that are just as important. It was just like I was watching that brief snippet that one of my Liberian friends talked about, and Umar said that it had Umar Johnson in there, which, brother. Umar Johnson says Black Americans don't need control in Africa, we just need influence. And, and my response is yes, is influence important? Yes. But guess what? You can always ignore influence.
yeah.
Influence
And
is not.
it's because of AA history in Liberia. What happened
Oh, he
to
says AAs were
macadamia?
shot
What?
and killed by firing squads.
Wait, what?
He says later, he says AAs were shot and killed by firing squads. So I want to bring a slight rebuttal to that. It wasn't just AAs that were shot and killed by firing squads. You had a lot of indigenous people in Tolbert's administration that were also shot and killed. So we need to get it that it was just African Americans or Americo Liberians that were killed by firing squads. You had indigenous Liberians who were part of the government, that were part of the cabinet, civil service, civil society, that were killed. It was not mostly AAs. It was actually split, leaning more towards indigenous population. It wasn't mostly AAs, contrary to what most people think. Tolbert was mixed between African American
And Vi.
and Vi. Okay, his wife was indigenous. You had the you had some other foreign ministers. I think it was like the Dennises, or Cecil, who was also, I think, indigenous. He got unalived. So it was not mostly AAs that were gunned down. It was a lot of indigenous people that were gunned down. Half and half, leaning mostly to indigenous that were gunned down. So that's why I wanted to bring that rebuttal, because that's one of the constant myths that people will say, oh, the Americas got toppled in 1980. It was a lot of indigenous people that were killed in 1980. So she's spewing talking points. It was actually the U.S. government. It wasn't the indigenous population. It was actually the American government that got rid of Tolbert. And they talked about how in there were white Marines in the mansion that were used to unalive Tolbert. and white Marines guiding the Liberian armed forces.
Mhm.
So it's important to remember that it is the U.S. government was heavy in orchestrating that, and that's just a fact. And the U.S. government supported though and kept doing power along with is
Macadamia.
not real. So we need to understand that and keep that in a holistic perspective and not be just spouting talking points to confirm a particular rigid narrative.
You
But to
got to
get back,
listen. Got to
but
listen to some more of our content because we address this like a
yeah,
thousand
a
times.
thousand times. But to get back to your point, get back to our point, we have this idea of Africa as these African groups are united, that the we don't want to
Blue
displace the
socks.
population, even though the population in Africa is being displaced by their own leaders.
Okay, can we go back to Blue Cox's his comment? He said most Americos
Yeah,
are mixed. They aren't any pure African American AA Americos.
there
America.
there there hardly aren't any pure. Most have like other ancestry in them.
Yeah, we
And
got the same
America is just
ancestry.
not AAs. There's also Afro Caribbean. You
Yeah.
have Guyanese. I mean, it's not just
I
African
reject
American.
that term. Period. That Americos.
Yeah.
I
I
reject
was
it.
gonna say that. Yeah.
How can you be in a country for 162 years and still be called America?
African Americans don't. I mean, Liberians don't even use the word America. They use
Yeah,
Congo.
it's like I don't even
Yeah.
like that term.
Yeah. Don't they call us Congo? Or Congo people?
Yeah, they call it Congo.
Okay.
But I really want to get back to the point where I was saying when people talk about, oh, this is gentrification and y'all are displacing the local population. Y'all are making it difficult for the population to live. Again, y'all leaders are doing that. And that's why, and this is what fuels the FBA ADOS types. That's what gives them ammo because it comes across as anti-African American bias.
Charles Taylor wasn't mixed either. Charles Taylor was
He was mixed.
he was?
Yeah, Charles Taylor was mixed. So was
Wait.
Alan. He's right. Both of them were mixed.
They were also CIA back too. Well, Charles
Yeah,
Taylor definitely was.
yeah. Charles Taylor was. Yeah, yeah. The CIA was all up in it.
Yeah. Like I don't understand how people are separating the CIA from their drones and just making it out like African Americans really went to Liberia and just beat up everybody. It's like really less than 40 people that were sickened with typhus and yellow fever, no guns, barely any money. They went over and overthrew a bunch of confederacies and whatnot.
With hundreds to tens of thousands of people in them.
Yeah. With
Uh,
warriors with iron made weapons and some muskets from early slave trading. Like no man, that's ridiculous. That's
so
fantasy.
again, it goes back. It
Yes,
goes
there
back.
is. Vanessa Johnson, yes there is.
Yeah,
I can
Well
give you the
sort of. Ain't
exact
the
address of it.
yeah, if it's in New York. I know there's definitely one in DC. I just can't think of the address.
yeah. So what I would just simply say is that you have a situation where we infantilize African leaders. We infantilize African societies and African leadership. And that's what gives ADOS and FBA fuel is basically y'all it may be intentional, it may not be, but it comes across as anti-African American bias and lets Africans off the hook. Again, African Americans are not perfect. But when you talk about, oh, African Americans need to assimilate, they need to adopt the culture, for FB and ADOS, it gives the necessary ammo because a example that I can give you to and to everybody in the viewership is why be Yoruba, why be Igbo, why be Ijaw, why be Hausa Fulani when y'all could just be Nigerian? get rid of your tribe, get rid of your ethnicity, excuse me, get rid of your ethnicity, your ethnic groups, and just be Nigerian. We're not Igbos, we're not Yorubas, we're not House of Fulanis, we are just Nigerians. Get rid of the fact that you're a Khan, get rid of the fact that you're Ewe, you're just Ghanaian, you're just Ivorian.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
And you will get a lot of backlash from all of those people who say, well, why do I have to get rid of my culture? Why can't I be Hausa and Nigerian? And my response would be that's the same thing African Americans are saying. Why can't I be African American and Nigerian? Why can't I be African American and Ghanaian? African American and Beninese? Why do I have to give up my culture? That's the point that that's not hitting that. For those African brothers and sisters who have that mindset, I want y'all to reconsider or think about. Look at how that comes across. It comes across as being insulting.
Yeah, and it's condescending and it's disingenuous too.
Oh, brother, come on, cuz. We not entertaining that.
Well, what's up? You said we should stop being Bloods and Crips. No, I'm not about to do that.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'm not entertaining that.
Yeah, that's not even.
But yeah, but that's the truth. Is this is part of why you have these diaspora wars, you have the FBAs or ADOS, the Freedmen type is when when you have a situation where on one side you come here and you disparage us, right? And you rep your culture, which again, that's fine. If you want to be Nigerian in America, I am 100% for that. But don't disparage the African American population. And the African American population should be disparaging the African population, calling them African stereotypes, even though Africa is not that. And then on the other hand, African Americans going to Africa, one thing, and it's going to be cookies and rainbows. And number two, Africans understand that African Americans should not be forced to assimilate, because what that's called forced assimilation. Well, oh, y'all have to assimilate. That's called forced assimilation. We should want to assimilate, and there should be benefits for us assimilating if we choose to. But forcing people to have a forced assimilation policy is the problem, and
Yeah,
that's where
that should never ever be on the table.
it
Never.
shouldn't.
Never.
In the same way, I wouldn't want they're willing to give up being African to be American just for acceptance. I don't see anything wrong with African Americans keeping their culture, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, like that is the truth. We like I don't think.
Who said that we wanted them to stop being able in there? And
I'm about
nobody
to say
nobody said that.
nobody said that.
We're saying that they should unite as one people, embrace and just not necessarily get rid of their cultures or their identity, but stop the tribal, violent tribalists.
And
what AAs are their own people. If in time, if we lived Basa or Gopi Piranha generations, we'll pick up their ways. We'll have a family reunion with gumbo and fried chicken. And, okay, great, but that's not. We're not again to slow it down just a bit, because a lot of these messages are coming in a little faster than what we can keep up with. But to your original point, we're not telling whoever said it. We're not telling anybody to get rid of their culture. That's not what we're advocating. Or their ethnicity. No, we're trying to say putting tribalism aside and uniting as one people.
Yeah, you're not going to give up your culture anyway. So I don't even know
why
that's even a discussion.
Yeah, that's not. Nobody said that.
We're not, and my point of bringing that up was I'm not saying to Nigerians give up your ethnicity or your ethnic culture. What I'm saying is, in reference to that, is don't expect African Americans to give up their ethnic culture. And when we
It's
come to Africa,
it's not required. All you have to do is look at America. Italian Americans will put the country that they live in first, America, over them being Italian.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. It doesn't mean that now all of a sudden they're not Italian anymore. It's like they just recognize that they're in a country. And that, if you notice, when 9/11 happened, everybody came together and kind of like put aside their differences because there was an outside threat. I don't understand. It's like you live in a country right now. You live in a nation right now, but for some reason, these concepts are foreign to you. When we want to apply it to ourselves, now all of a sudden we don't understand what nationhood is. But you live in
mhm,
one every goddamn day.
or we don't understand what pluralism and multiculturalism is. You live in a country that's plural and multicultural, but yet when we go to Africa, we're pretending as if Africa is a monocultural society, one culture, not multiple ethnicities, multiple cultures. When we really just act like Africa's just one monotonous similar culture, and that's not the case. So why are we acting like if we arrive there, we're gonna be top dog and we're just gonna be ruling over?
Right.
First of all, again, this is what I mean by infantilizing African leaders. And I was saying that what happened with the Pan African village. If your fear was, oh, African Americans are going to come and take over, why don't your government put laws and protections to ensure that the residents there are protected and have housing? Why is the burden transferred to the African American community? Oh, you need to make sure that you help the local population. Of course, we're going to do that, but it's also the job of the government. What's the point of having a government if the government is not going to do that and regulate?
You just made a very interesting point.
Yep.
Do African immigrants do that when they come to America?
No, to a certain
No.
degree.
Well, some of them do. I know a few Nigerians actually did have some kind of leeway in the neighborhood that I grew up with. Like I said before to Jabbar, we talked about this a little while ago. I'm from Maryland. In Maryland, we have a large, thriving African community. We got Ghanaians, Nigerians. We got large sections of our neighborhoods that I grew up in that are now owned by Ethiopians. Like it's just, yeah, it's like a rainbow state in Maryland. Some of them do. I know some don't also. So, you know.
So when an
But
African American goes to another country, they have to look out for the local people in that country. But if you come to America, you don't have to look out for the African American community.
That's pretty much true.
yeah,
From
you're
what I've
supposed.
seen. From what I've seen. I can't speak to nobody
Wow.
else's.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting.
If you know, and also if you know, and this is the important thing, okay? If you know that your government has a history of being corrupt and has a history of doing basically unethical behavior, you expect African Americans to donate their hard-earned money and not demand political control or things in return. Like, that's insane. Like, that's not going to happen. The reason why African Americans are not investing in large quantities in Africa is for that very reason. And that was one of the things that the broadcaster, when I was watching the Umar clip, was trying to let him know. If you want us to go back to Africa, yes, we have good intentions, but we need to have protections and things expected in return or some sort of control. We're not going to give our hard earned money and not get anything in return.
Yeah,
When
that
you
would be
donate even to a nonprofit organization, you're not donating to the nonprofit organization just because you believe in the cause. You're donating to that nonprofit organization because you believe in the cause and they're going to give you something in return. You're going to see it. There's something being given in return. Exactly, Blue Sox. Why do AAs have to be the Messiah when we go to Africa? I mean, we get put expectations that no other really groups get expectations. We're supposed to make sure that we look out for the locals. We're supposed to act like government. Oh, you're supposed to assimilate into the country. Oh, you don't want to go and happen to Liberia. There is a unnecessary burden and double standard on the African American community that we don't put on no other African groups or no other ethnic groups in general. Oh, the African American community needs to assimilate. Why don't you assimilate into one culture, Nigeria? Why don't you assimilate into one culture, Kenya, Ivory Coast? Why don't you do that? Y'all was having whole civil wars, unaliving your whole family, destroyed your whole infrastructure, took
Yeah.
trillions of dollars of money that could have been used for development, and you telling me, oh, we need to assimilate, oh, we need to adopt the culture?
Uh-oh,
Are
Jabari is
you
asking the right questions.
are y'all
Yeah.
serious? You got Boko Haram running left circles, laps. It's
Yeah.
NASCAR up in northern Nigeria. And yet I don't see Nigerians demanding northern Nigerians de-radicalize their population. I have not seen it. You
These are
got
the
whole separatists going on in southern Nigeria, angry at the Nigerian government. And yet I don't see large protests demanding that the Nigerian government treat the people in the Delta region with respect and honor and dignity.
these are the uncomfortable questions that start people fidgeting in their seats. When you start hearing crickets and no
It's whole.
responses.
You want to talk about African Americans. Oh, African Americans shouldn't be allowed to go because of what happened in Liberia. Well, by your own logic, African immigrants shouldn't be able to come to America because of what y'all did in your home countries. Why should we be bringing in immigrants who started their own civil war, their own government, their people did? I would never say that because I understand context and culture and political history. Yet you don't understand political history of African American thought and culture, the history of Liberia, the context of Liberia when it was founded, but you feel the need to blurt your mouth about African Americans. And that's where the FBA ADOs come out. That's where FBA ADOs get their strength from. That's when you'll have Black Americans who are Black nationalists and Pan Africanists let a little bit of that sentiment come out. And it's not
Why?
because we agree we're not African. It's you're putting all this burden on the African American population, all of these criteria that you don't expect from your own countries or non-Black foreigners.
Why should there be another Black Wall Street when the first one got burned down?
You mean outside of us controlling the context of our reality from a political, economic, and social standpoint? You need a
Yeah.
nation. You need a nation. A city is good, but a nation is larger. You can do more with it.
But you see that the ADOS and the FBA want to, they constantly use that. We need a new Black Wall Street. And they already got basically that, that concept going on, but they don't support it.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't support a mall, you think they're going to support a town?
Yep.
It's so funny. It's like the people that talk about the things that you can do right here in this country are us.
Mm-hmm. Because we hold ourselves to a standard. We hold ourselves to a standard and we're consistent. Folks be screaming about how we need to build a Black Wall Street. But like you said, they can't support a store. They're not flocking to a store. They're not serious about putting it in black banks or staying in a neighborhood or establishing a community. Okay. But they expect us to build a Black Wall Street.
Oh, hey, Paul.
What's up, sister? How you doing? They rebuilt Black Wall Street. Government policy killed Black Wall Street. They ran a freeway through Greenwood. Oh, well, look at that. It just proves the point. We can't do it right here. That's all. We can't do it right here. That just ended it right there. We can't do it right here. The government just ran a freeway right through Greenwood. They ran a freeway. My whole point in talking about that is I expect African Americans when we go to Africa, we're going to do a lot. We're going to embrace a lot. And we are going to be a major catalyst for the revival of Africa. The question, and I always say this, my thing with people is just let's not put unrealistic expectations or expectations that we don't have of our own people onto others. And that's the thing that we have to get in our brains. Because when we do that, it leads to those sentiments. It leads to that. And I was bringing up all of those situations not to talk trash about the African countries, but just to send the point of you need to think holistically about what your statement is connotating. What does that mean? Yup, seems very open to China at the moment, but if AAs talk about embracing Liberia now, oh no, they would colonize, but China no. You said you saw what happened with Soul City, North Carolina. No Black business class invested in the project.
Sound familiar?
Well, another point. Another point.
Just briefly, because I know we're not going to stay on for too much longer. I wanted to get you guys' viewpoints on the visa process overseas.
So my first reaction is that with the visa process, it shouldn't take that long for me to get a visa to go to an African country, especially such as Liberia, but just African countries in general. It should not be hard for an African to travel within Africa. I should be able to get it should be visa free in Africa. Everybody in Africa should be visa free. It should not be visa on arrival within African countries. It should be visa free. I should be able to go whenever I want to.
I agree with that. Although I will take visa upon arrival rather than this complicated systems that they do in there. That would be like a dream. But I agree with you. Yeah. Definitely.
Oh yeah. If we're talking about outside of Africa, for the African diaspora, it should be visa on arrival. But if we're talking about within Africa, no, it needs to be visa free. Like why does Aliko Dangote, which you can have your own opinions on Dangote, why is it that Dangote needs 35 visas to go to 35 countries in Africa?
Yeah,
like he was talking about how he had 35 visas. You're the richest man in Africa. Why do I need all this?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I did not know that.
Yeah, like he was complaining how he has to get all of these visas to travel to African countries. And he's in Africa, the richest man, and he was showing all of these visas that he has to get just to travel to countries within Africa.
Can you imagine if we had to get a visa to travel to a state?
I want to know
That's
why
crazy.
Liberia's visa process is as crazy as it is. They're telling me I gotta mail my passport to them. And it's not just them either. That's
True,
crazy.
Carl.
I shouldn't have to mail my passport.
United Countries of Africa.
True, Carl. I mean, they are different countries. I get the fact that they are different countries, but I would just simply say that if we want to, if we have an African Union, and we're trying to get to the process of a united Africa, I mean, we should be able, at the very minimum, have visa on arrival. At the bare minimum. We know Africa's not a federation, but it should be at the minimum, visa on arrival.
Yeah.
Because I was having this conversation yesterday. I said, what's the point of having the African Union? We might as well just get rid of the African Union. I mean, like, what is it doing? Well, and it was talking about the Africa summits. I was just like, if we're gonna have an Africa summit, why isn't the African Union just being the representative? Like, what's the point of having the African Union? In my opinion, why have the African Union if it's not going to represent a united Africa? If you had dual citizenship, you could do that. If you get Ghanaian citizenship, that passport will give you access to all of ECOWAS. True, you do have access to all of ECOWAS, but I'm talking about outside of ECOWAS, though, Blue Sox. Like, I'm talking about being able to travel to Botswana or Congo or Kenya.
Yeah.
True, the African Union does not exist for tourism. True, it doesn't exist for tourism. But the concept, at least how I see it, the concept of the African Union is supposed to like show a vision, at least for the united Africa. And right now, that don't even exist in the bare minimum. So why not do it like the EU? The EU, yeah, like that's my thing. Like, at least make it easy for people to travel. That's always been my biggest thing. It should be easy to travel. If you don't want visa-free travel, fine, but let it be easy at the bare minimum. Just be visa on arrival. Getting all of these visas, especially considering that it's easier to travel to from an African country to Europe, is a problem.
Interesting.
You could travel easier from South Africa to a country in Europe than you do to a neighboring African country.
And what about the process too for like?
Oh, Africa seems like a private club right now. You can't get in with those shoes.
I was gonna ask Deontay, what did you think?
And some of the visa processes they have in some of these countries are out of date too. Like with Liberia in particular, I have to mail my passport to the embassy and do all this other extra crazy stuff. It's like, bro, really?
I guess it depends on where you live, right? Like I can go down to the embassy in New York.
I might have to go down to the embassy in DC, and I live all the way in a different state. So it's like, bro, like really, like why can't y'all just have this process online like everyone else?
We
That must
know.
be a rhetorical question.
It is. It's like, bro, like why? Like I'm helping you out economically with my tourism. I go over there, I spend money.
It's just like, why y'all acting like y'all don't know why it's set up? We know what it's set up, but it's like in a decent world, can they do the bare minimum? Like, we know how it's set up. We know the African Union gets a lot of its money from the outside. We know the African Union is just that in name only. They really don't be doing anything. But they really don't be doing anything. But just a bare minimum. Like, can we get some bare minimum? Like, can we get the bare minimum? That's all I want. I want the bare minimum. We can't even get that. Yeah, we just playing. Set up that way, but when our leaders are on the continent going to reform these things.
Oh man. Well, I feel
We've
we've
been over
exhausted
an hour,
this
guys.
topic.
So
it's
I
been
would
over.
say this. He says, I know why Africa is set up the way it is, but when our leaders on the continent going to reform things? They gonna reform it in 2063. It may be 2070.
2063.
2070. Hey, as Squidward said, why not pull it off today? Why do it today? I mean, you could just wait till tomorrow. So, hey, it could be 2085.
It'll be the year, yeah, it'll be the year 3000 before you.
Yeah. So they just gonna push it off for today. It'll get done by tomorrow, and then tomorrow it'll get pushed off tomorrow, and then we'll head off to tomorrow. And then it'll keep going. So
You said this man is quoting Squidward.
yeah.
Yo, I love it.
So
I love
That
it.
is funny.
So I'm checking my watch and my timer right now. It's 1:05. It might be ready in the next 30 years. So I might be on about into my 401k when that happens. So
Thank
hey,
you,
the link
Vanessa.
call hey, the link is in the chat because she wants a link.
The link to what?
That's the StreamYard.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Actually, I'll send it straight to her. I'm glad she said something because I was about to log off. Yeah. I sent
Yeah.
it to you on WhatsApp call.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just checking my time.
You're serving your time. What the hell did you do?
No, I'm talking about like I'm just waiting for the African. I'm just waiting for the African Union to the leaders to adjourn a meeting to decide when to put that visa on arrival travel. I'm just checking my timer.
And Vanessa Johnson, you're welcome. I'm giving you the Infinity Gauntlet in case we get some clowns in here. Welcome, Sister Call.
Hey y'all.
Hello.
So y'all getting on my nerves. I love y'all, but y'all getting on my nerves. Listen,
Okay.
That's what we're
know,
here for.
We was having a blast.
That's what we're here for.
I was just gonna listen
This
and
was this
stuff.
was all a trick to get you to come online.
See y'all provoking me and stuff. So here's all I have to say. We can't keep complaining about the obvious. We know that the education system, everything that's set up in every country on the continent of Africa is geared toward indoctrinating people into this concept of their individual nationhood and tribe, mentality. Their schools, their religious institutions, their traditional institutions, everything is there to teach people everything except the solution. So for us to be like, why don't they have visa free? It's like, why does water get shit wet? Water gets things wet because that's what it does. So the solution is to teach a different way of thinking. Why are the leaders ineffective and why are they corrupt and why don't people, like each other and why are they fighting wars and why don't they like African Americans? Why don't they like each other? Why don't they like their mama? Because they're trained and educated to not like each other. We grew up hearing African booty scratcher and all this kind of stuff, and they grew up listening to people, oh, they're all gangbangers. It is not a mystery. So sitting here and perpetuating, or not perpetuating, but perpetually talking about the obvious is really something we got to graduate from, because it's not something that even needs to be said, because we know what the problem is. We know why the problem exists. We know what caused the problem, right? And its problem is not going to fix itself. So the people who know better have to say better. They have to teach better. They have to explain better. They have to counter the conspiracy by offering an alternative way to think. Instead of sitting around and complaining and, oh, I'm going to one up you in an argument, Mr. Ignorant. You said something ignorant. Well, I'm going to point out why it's ignorant. Of course he said something ignorant. Of course people are saying dumb shit because that's how they're educated or miseducated, right? That's how they've been trained. And so you all as enlightened people I want to see the time when we can stop worrying about why unenlightened people are unenlightened and figure out how to enlighten them. This ain't it. The visa process is backwards. Boy, you complaining about getting a visa to go to Liberia. There's children in Liberia that are not in school, will not be going to school tomorrow because the government doesn't have enough resources to properly educate all the children. You complaining about the inconvenience of mailing your passport. You know how that sounds? You know how that sounds? And that's exactly why we get on each other's nerves across the board, right? We in this country don't even have a government. They have failed governments, but at least they got governments. So what do? We got to build the failed government so that they govern properly and so that thinking people take the helm of power and so that they can form alliances with other thinking people and solve the damn problems. But sitting around going, oh my God, I got to mail my passport in, or oh my God, this other group is backwards, and oh, they don't like us. They come here and they worship white people. Of course they do. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're trained to do. What are we going to do different? This is why I love the fact that all of you that are on me, Holub and Jabari and Deontay, y'all already solving the problem. I want to hear y'all talk about the solutions that you're already implementing. You take so much of your time and invest in enlightening people and creating the minds that are going to be necessary to solve Africa's problems. That's what you're already doing. So why worry about whether or not you got to mail your passport or get a visa when the people who are going to be in charge tomorrow are under your influence? That's what's up. All this other stuff, it's like, anybody, okay. You don't want to mail your passport, drive to DC. If they open, you might get there and the doors are locked.
Oh, you
You know what
might
I'm
make it just
saying?
in time before the door shut.
It is what it
I
is.
remember that. I remember that. Oh, wow. I remember when I studied abroad and I had to go to DC and I had to go to the mail and I made it to the embassy 2-3 minutes before it closed.
Yeah, it's annoying. And I understand it's annoying. I know y'all griping because the shit is annoying. It's stupid. But we know why it's stupid. That's my point. I'm not saying it ain't stupid. I'm saying we know why it's stupid. So
I
we
will
should
say
be.
this
Mm-hmm.
though. That vent was therapeutic. I'm good now. I'm better, y'all. I'm happy. I just needed I'm happy now. I'm there. I just needed to get that was it.
Yeah, that's basically what these are. We just need to get it out of our system.
I know. But I
But
just
yo,
love the
I
fact, I
just
love
want to
that
say,
y'all already solving the problem and then y'all sitting there still griping. I'm like, what more do y'all want to do? Y'all done already solved world peace. What is your problem? Like,
Nah,
My
this is
beautiful people.
therapeutic.
oh, there he is.
I think the griping comes. It's so good to hear y'all. God dang, it's so good to hear y'all. For real. I'm in the gym training, but I had to say something. I think the griping part comes in from seeing how much more we could do if we was really focused. And it's like people love the griping. It's sick, but people love the griping. It's like the griping will get people attention so that we can move forward. Because when you just talk about the solutions, it's crickets, sister. It's so sad and sickening. But when you just focus on the solution, when you detail the map with the blueprint and everything, it's crickets. No one is interested in the solution. Very few of us are interested in the solution.
because
And
it
then on
feels
the
too
flip
much at
side,
work.
everybody thinks that they have the solution themselves. So when you talk
No, they
about
don't.
actually doing something
No, they don't.
together,
They don't think they got
you
no
don't.
solution. I disagree. These folks know they don't have no solution, and that's why they gripe.
Yeah, I agree.
What I'm saying is, y'all got the solution. Y'all already solved the equation,
Right, sis,
right?
sis. I think you're missing what I'm talking. I'm not talking about the gripers. I'm talking about the people who say that they want community, the people who say that they want unity. They think that they have the only solution. That's what I'm saying. So when you say Africa, they'll say, "Oh, cool, sweet." Then you say Liberia, then it's like, "Oh," you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. It's like, no, it has to be my solution or there's no solution. If I'm not the captain, then it's not gonna work. If Yahweh isn't at the top of it, it can't work. If Allah isn't at the top of it, that's what I mean. They think that it's one
Uh,
solution. Whereas we're saying we need all of us. Bring your Allah, bring your whatever you want to bring, but we need to be focusing on our people. But people don't want to do that. People want to say, no, man, Allah got to be first. No, man, we got to be going to this. No, man, we got to be having women way
but
down here. No, woman can't talk.
ain't that the
That's what I
same thing?
mean.
But ain't that the same thing we're talking about with like the African Union not functioning as a union because
Yep,
everybody got their own
yep,
thing? It's the exact same thing.
yep, yep.
So they're not where y'all at. They're not where
Not at
y'all
all. Not at all.
at. I
I want
mean,
to
it's
give a shout out to Medjay Commander. I haven't seen you in a while. Peace, bro.
they're not where y'all at. I like that name, AJ
Yeah.
Commander. That's dope. But now this brother telling me he at the gym. I gotta go hiking this evening.
Umoja is always training.
I gotta go do something. I
Always
feel
in training.
bad. I love that
He's
brother,
gonna
man.
live
He
to be
got so much
100.
He's
in him.
inspirational.
Exactly.
Honestly, I gotta get this
Exactly.
exercise.
So what we gonna do? Y'all talk about all this stuff. So here's what you do. If you want to see a Liberia that's running and functioning properly, get with training the next generation of leaders.
Hmm.
Because that's what the enemy did. They got the next generation of leaders and they effed them up. They buck broke them so that they don't function. So if you want to be the solution, you got to get in there when they're still young, when they're still coming up, so you can make your Petit Lamumbas and your Kamasankaras that don't get killed, that don't die, because there's enough of them.
I echo y'all sentiments.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need to get that out of my system. That I feel so good. I'm happy.
You
I
know what,
just need.
baby? Crack up. Jabari was like, y'all over there starting civil wars. Why don't y'all assimilate? Why don't you?
Like y'all coming at my throat. I'm like, excuse me. I was like, let me. I'm
was
like,
like,
okay, I can get
yeah,
this out
I'm
my system.
writing that down. That's gonna be my status update. That, and I'm gonna put big fat quotations. But that is hilarious. That is hilarious. You said it was talking about African Americans got to come in and assimilate. They've got to. Why don't y'all? And they will never, ever, ever say that to Asians and Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Why don't y'all just be Nigerian? Get rid of Yoruba, get rid of Igbo, get rid. Just you're just
Why
Nigerian.
why don't they assimilate in African culture, period? Why are they running around here building mega churches and talking we've got white Jesus on the wall? Why don't they be African?
Mm.
All of them got
Mm.
lace front weaves, bleaching their skin. Why don't they be African? You
Uh-oh.
go
That's gonna
first.
leave a mark.
You be African first. You be African first. 'Cause that doesn't even make any sense to me. That's why I said, let me call and just change the subject because I can be very, like, it was making me want to say mean things. But,
But 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 Jesus
African
was black though.
Not what you say.
Africans ain't trying to be African either. They're like, I mean, they're running around here. They're doing everything but being African. How many African women you see with their hair natural? How many African women you see being African or even having African names anymore? They naming their children Charity and Diamond and what the hell? They practice and bastardize culture, ethnic confusion. They're defining their ethnicities by religion that they borrowed, and they saying they're African. Oh, Hausa people are Muslim people.
Really?
Igbo people are Christian people. Some Yorubas are Muslim and some Yorubas are Christian, but most of us are Christian. Yeah, I mean that's how they do. That's how they define culture by the religion that conquered them. I'm tired with it. So I mean, that conversation about African Americans is similar. God forbid, because that would mean that you're gonna go over there dressing up like Beyonce and because of how they look, they acting African really. 90% of the people on the continent of Africa hate African culture.
Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah.
And if you even try to practice any type of African traditionalism, they demonize you. They demonize you. They don't even know what it is to be African. It's ethnic and cultural confusion. And they want African Americans to come and assimilate in the confusion pot. Come be confused with us. We talked about this. We talked about this before, right? What is it that they do in? I'm not talking about somebody going to Abeda Kuta way up in the bush in Nigeria. I'm talking about what is it you need to know to live in Lagos, Nigeria, that you don't need to know to live in Brooklyn, New York.
Uh-oh.
What is it you need to know? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You said most people that go to Africa, except you're going to set up a mission school in the desert or in the bush somewhere, you're going to be living in an urban environment where everybody's trying to act like they're American anyway. So what are they even talking about? Sorry, y'all.
Well, I mean, we know. Like I said, this is the vent. Like you got to get that out the
Yeah,
system.
but I mean that's what it is. But we know why it's like that, right? We know why
Yeah.
it's like that. I agree. We do need to point out that it's this way, but it needs to be in the context of you're effed up like this because they've confused you, right? They've confused you. And the people that I see trying their hardest to cling to any type of remnants of African traditionalism are the Caribbean people and the people that are coming from the States.
I want to correct you on that one. It's not like that at all.
What's not like that?
Like in terms of them, like trying to retain some kind of Caribbean identity. Unless they're in the outskirts, they're trying to be as Christian as most Africans with the lace fronts and everything. It's a small minority of people willing to try to embrace their roots.
Y'all see what's on the screen?
Yeah. This panel to discuss whether consensus building, dialogue networking can be stressed to create synergies amongst African people. It can be. I mean, we're doing it. I mean, we're doing it. I mean, we said we do this on our own work. I mean, yes, it can be stressed. I mean, the thing is, you have to connect with people of like minds. That's the thing I would say. You got to connect with people of like mind.
Cool. And on that note, I think we should end this.
Yeah. We've been going for an hour and 22 minutes. We had a great discussion. We got all of it out, that energy out. So now I can go back and be productive. I got some work to do.
Yeah. Let's end it on this note. We're gonna stress that Jabari's book is out. He put the link in the chat room, jabarilam.com. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
jabarilam.com.
jabarilam.com.
And also, I put the Liberia Leadership Academy donation link in there because we have already graduated 2 classes. We're working on the 3rd, and we need that capital so we can keep the program going. So these are the things that we're doing to provide the solution to these problems that we're talking about. And most of these sessions are basically like just us getting a lot of stuff out of our system that we've been dealing with. But don't be confused, because in the end, we are dedicated to solution-oriented behavior and activities. So when these live streams are not going on, we're doing stuff offline. I think everybody can agree with that. Everybody went mute.
Yes. And that
we agree. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just because I had something going on in the background. I didn't want to be my usual self.
But on that note, holler at you good people later. The lounge is tonight.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody will be there. I know it's, what is it, football season started?
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be there. I'll definitely be there.
Hopefully we'll have some people tune in between the game.
Peace out.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, fam.